All right, we'll talk Oscars. Were Chalamet and Demi robbed? Why did Blake and Ryan hire an ex-CIA deputy chief of staff? And the Rajin Cajun is in the house. James Carville has an interesting theory about why Trump is so volatile these days. I got 3 letters for you. STD. He joins us. Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by our friends at LA Golf. We are live on TuneIn and YouTube, and the mics they're scalding hot. They're about to get scalding hot with the Rajin Cajun, the Harvey Keitel of political strategists, James Carville. James is with us, right? You like that? The Harvey Keitel of political strategists? I see you laughing. James, I think your microphone is, did you click the little, is it possible that it's muted? Waiting on James Carville. Everything's on this side. There should be maybe a little red slasher that goes through the mic. Is that because it's we've got you on mute. Can you guys fix that while we rock? Well, as soon as we get his audio worked out, we'll bring in the great James Carville. But look, obviously, we're going to talk about what's on everyone's mind, what's still on my mind, and that is that meeting.
Billy, do you hear me now?
I hear you now, my good man. There he is.
I had to switch something around at the headphones. I just do it without it. Okay, that's rock and roll.
Fantastic. My brother, I called you the Rajin Cajun, the Harvey Keitel of political strategists. Is that okay? Has anyone ever said that to you? You ever had that intro?
Actually not. I call myself the Agent Cajun, but if you want to call me the Raging Cajun, you got getting any younger.
Hey, man, there's a lot of fire there. Thank you so much for doing this. Let's jump right into it, man. The meeting between Trump and Zelensky on Friday, you said, man, that boy ain't right. And then, but you said he ain't right. You said he ain't right because you looked at splotches on his hands and you said that's a sure sign of syphilis. Now, were you joking or?
That is a possible indication for syphilis, all right? He's obviously had a pretty sudden deterioration, but there's a way that we can clean this up. On January the 17th, 2017, Keith Schiller and 2 other goons broke into the office of Trump's physician, a GI doctor by the name of Dr. Bornstein, and without Dr. Bornstein's permission, confiscated Trump's health records. And Dr. Bornstein is now deceased, unfortunately. But we don't know why would he send people to his physician's office to confiscate his records. Then we find out some months ago he had red splotches on his hand. I pointed that out in an earlier video. And I called 3 or 4 doctors and said, if you saw that, didn't say I can't diagnose it, but one of the things you would look for is syphilis. So there's something about his health that he doesn't want us to know, obviously. Secondly, he had something that could be an indication of syphilis. Thirdly, he's obviously had mental deterioration, of which any number of physicians would tell you is a manifestation of long-term syphilis. So
so you're serious about this?
I'm just asking questions, but there's a lot of evidence that points from one in a certain direction that you have to ask these questions. Where are you? Release those health records you stole from your doctor.
Now, but if I know you might also want to be getting under his skin a little bit. This is not a man he didn't release his taxes. He didn't release his medical records. He doesn't like being told by anyone in any type of authority that you need to comply like other people and do it this way. That's what he's resistant to. But I thought you were just poking the bear. You called him a fat blanking slob with a whale body and the whole thing. And now are you trying to get under his skin, or do you really think it might be?
I can't. So Billy, let me be clear. I can't stand him.
I'm aware.
All right. And any time that I get to mock him,
Is there anything you like about him? Anything?
Yeah, he seems to be. His wife won't get in the same zip code with him, so I don't know what that is.
Wait a minute. She was smiling. I think she was smiling during the inauguration on the dance floor.
Okay.
She seemed to come
if
around a little.
Got one picture of a smile. I can smile anytime I want to. That don't mean anything.
Let me see.
But I'm just saying, if he could clear this entire little dust up, why would you break into your own physician's office and have somebody steal your health records? Maybe there's an explanation for it. I don't know. And by the way, his internist was a GI doctor. I don't know what that means, but
yeah, well,
supposedly he's got some odor problems. I know that.
But your wife, now does your wife, you're one of the greatest bipartisan marriage in America is James Carville, Mary Madeline. Does she like him at all? Does she support him? Did she vote for him?
Billy, one thing I have a rule that I follow to the nth degree. I never speak for my wife because that can only lead to bad things.
You don't talk politics at all with her?
I don't speak. I don't ever say what she thinks.
Right.
If she wants to say what she thinks about a given topic, that's her prerogative.
But do you talk politics with her? Do you guys speak about the current administration and debate between the two of you? Or not?
I mean, again, we talk, we're married, we obviously talk about a variety of things, but her business is not my business, and my political business is not hers. Hers is not mine. But that's just, it worked. We've been married for 25, well, I don't know, 20, whatever, 1993.
A lot longer than that. Say that's you're looking at about 33 years.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to make it to the end here, but so far so good.
Fantastic. All right, let's go to that meeting. We're looking at Trump. We're looking at Zelensky in there. What is that? A Cabernet? A Pinot? What are you having right there? A little red wine glass.
That's a cab.
Beautiful. Cabs are a little heavy for me. I don't support the French in everything, but I do love their Bordeaux. I'm going to have to say
I'm having a nice Saint Julien right now.
Oh, a Saint Julien.
Or something like that,
All the money you've made out there, you deserve it, sir. Okay. Here's my take. What do you think about, I think Trump got super irascible. He got under his skin because J.D. Vance. Now, remember, I'm going to set this up by saying, just weeks ago, a reporter asked Trump, is J.D. Vance the future of the party? Is he, is he coming in after you? Is that what? And Trump said, no. He shut that down right away. And in this meeting, J.D. started to post up against Zelensky, and it started to look like the two of them were squaring off chest to chest, and those were the two leaders in the room. Trump didn't like that. He turned around, and to squash J.D., he's the one who became a little extra aggressive with Zelensky. Did you see any of that playing out in there?
I saw that. Again, there are a couple of questions that come to mind. I could be wrong. I don't recall, and I've heard other people make the same observation of a vice president being in a meeting with the president and a foreign leader.
Right.
That's I'll tell you what I think that Vance is probably, the cutout guy for the Russians. And they wanted him in the meeting. And he was more, if possible, he was a bigger Putin sycophant than Trump was. So I don't know, but anybody with a questioning mind would say, well, what's going on here? Because something ain't right with Trump for sure, and something is not right with the relationship between the current White House and the Kremlin. I can assure you that. It's not right. You got people speaking up. You're starting to see even some Republican senators, which are Senator Wicker from Mississippi, are starting to say, "What's going on here?" Senator Langford from Oklahoma. There's something weird going on here, and I don't sense that it's anything any good.
Yeah, what is the? We're talking to James Carville here, the legendary political strategist. What do you think? What is happening here? There seems to be, we're giving air cover to Putin in a big way. We're giving him air cover and helping him voting with China and Russia
Right.
in the UN
North
Security
Korea.
Council.
Yeah, China, North Korea, and Belarus.
And giving him an exit out of this thing, giving him cover, because I would assume we're going to get something out of it. What is it, if you were to think of this new multipolar, foreign policy?
You say we.
We, the United States, by our representatives, Donald Trump.
They're not. I don't look. I think Trump is in this for himself. I think he'll get something out of it. What could we get out of it? Russia, as John McCain is right, it's a gas station masquerading as a country. They got nothing we want. They got a crap economy. They got low economic output. You want a Russian watch? You want a Russian car? I don't think you do. I mean, we can make our own vodka, make good vodka in Boston, Texas now, better than any vodka they make in Russia. But I don't know. But I don't think there's anything in there for we, not we, Kimosabe, is him. Now,
Yeah.
what he's getting, well, I'd love to know.
But if you just put on a different hat, like, okay, now let me just really try to see where the advantage is. There's just none. You're seeing nothing. I mean, maybe it's, the Bering Straits. There's a trade route that's going, maybe up in the north, and the Russians have 70 ice cutter ships, and we have 2 in America. Maybe there's a deal to be done there on trade. Maybe there's something we get out of this.
I can't imagine what Russia has that we would want. Like I say, they can't make anything. They got aging population. They're to call the North Koreans because they're running out of conscripts and they don't want to draft people in urban areas. That their economy is shot. Their reserves are shot. I have no idea why we're siding with Russia, North Korea, Belarus, but that's the neighborhood that we're running in right now. I'd rather go to France or Germany or Japan or South Korea or New Zealand or Australia or Nigeria or Brazil or South Africa or anywhere, but go to those places. But you got to ask yourself that what could they possibly give us that we want?
I'm struggling myself. You said Democrats, your overall recipe for the Democrats right now is to do nothing and sort of let Trump hang himself. That everything he's doing is going to blow up in his face. The Republican Party will implode. Bernie Sanders doesn't agree with you. He says, in fact, the problem is the Democrats have been playing dead for too many years, need to be more active. Can you elaborate a little bit on what it is, how it is that you take down Donald Trump?
Well, the first thing is that there's a timetable, and playing possum, is to be, I think, a smart strategy. And they have to pass reconciliation, but most importantly, they're going to have to come to the Democrats for the debt limit. By the way, have you looked at the economic numbers lately?
Well,
I have. The Atlanta Fed has now said we might have negative growth in the first quarter of this year. Have you looked at the stock market lately? I have. Have you looked at the unemployment claims lately? I have. Have you looked at what the ramifications of his tax cuts are going to be on the federal deficit? A lot of people are looking at that.
$4.5 trillion.
Yeah, $4.5 trillion. And now you have Elon Musk saying Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. There's a lot of people in on this Ponzi scheme. So what I'm saying is the Democrats just lay back, let them go. We got some big events coming up in our political calendar. Mark, April 1st, Wisconsin Supreme Court. Really critical is the first Tuesday in November is Virginia governor. Would you like to estimate the federal employee turnout in Northern Virginia? I think they're
150,
going to,
150,000 people probably.
yeah,
More?
yeah, yeah. Another thing, Billy, I heard today, you, you know how much many more federal employees are today than there were in 1965?
How many?
None. None. All right. That's not, we're sort of taught to think it's this big bloated personnel operation. If you fired every federal employee, if you just stopped, you didn't pay anybody, it'd be 6% of the total budget. I mean, this is not working. It's not gonna work. We don't have any power. They have the House, they have the Senate, they have the courts, they have the presidency. All right, go get them, boy.
What when the Democrats went wrong? All right, I mean, the Democrats have done a nice job lately. I mean, look, I'm a super up the middle independent guy here, but it seems that they've done a nice job of owning some mistakes, letting the progressive far left of the party come in with some crazy,
Right, right.
so far so that the center left got almost eradicated. They were silenced. Do you see the same thing happening now where the far right is kind of silencing the right center? And how do we get the right or left center angry enough to be heard and to be accounted for, and we get someone who's not extreme?
So Republicans, they want everything, okay? Landslide, I don't think so. All right. Understand, we played the Super Bowl with our seventh string quarterback, and we lost by a point and a half. We actually picked up a house seat.
Is that what you called Kamala, your seventh string quarterback?
Yeah, well, there's six people that would have been. I mean, and she ran, she did better than people thought. We didn't even have a candidate. We got so much talent in the Democratic Party right now. It's staggering.
But why didn't
And
anyone stand up? You were the first one to say after Joe Biden.
no, I don't
I'm
know.
impressed by that.
I wish they would have. I think it's a really the way that we went through our nominating process was really tragic, I thought.
I thought that
But
what happened, tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I'm right here. What happened is Joe Biden implodes on June 27th in that debate, and then Kamala rallies the Black Caucus, and she gets them behind her first, and now she's got 100 and however many members behind her, and nobody like Josh Shapiro or Pritzker or any of these other, Phil Murphy, any of these other people thought, oh, geez, if the Black Caucus is entirely behind Kamala, everything that we are as liberals and Democrats, there's no way that I'm going to go and challenge her. And they let her do a land grab, and that killed everybody.
so if you remember, on July 7th, I wrote a piece in the New York Times said Biden should drop out. We should have a series of four town halls across America
Yeah.
with President Obama and President Clinton moderating the town halls, and they invite six people and then go to Chicago with an open convention. Had we done that, we'd have gotten 53 and a half. It wouldn't have been close.
It would have been a reality
And,
show the
and,
whole
and,
summer.
but by the time, so it was July the 21st when Biden got out. And you're right, the Harris people, Bakari Sellers, who's a state representative from South Carolina, was bragging about how they shut down any contested convention crap. Well, they did, and that elected Trump. I would have loved to have seen Presidents Obama and Clinton do four town halls. One in, the Northeast, one in the South, one in the Midwest, one in the West. I don't know. You could figure it out. It wouldn't be that hard. And we would have had a hell of a thing. And by the way, maybe Harris would have won. She'd have been a much better candidate. She'd never run for well, if you count running for vice president, which really doesn't count. She never won an election outside of California. I thought it would have been a much better system, but by that time, and I think the convention started something like the 15th, 16th, or 17th of August, there wasn't an appetite to, let's just go ahead and do it. So but it was this country, I don't think, wanted to elect Donald Trump, but and then they asked Harrison on The View, the money question, what would you do different than Biden, which 70% of people didn't even want to run. He said, "Sure, I can't think of anything," which was, say the least, a pretty disastrous answer.
Yep. But I mean, look, Obama agreed with you. Your idea was great. You came out right away and said mini primaries. This is Donald Trump loves being the center of the circus. He's the PT
They're
Barnum.
the center of everything.
He likes being the center. This would have been a reality show.
Everything.
A reality show in 4 different parts of the country where you have a nominating process, and then you actually go to a convention, and it's not just a pageant, it's an actual nominating event, and they give their closing remarks, and people vote, and this and that. But why did they give in to Kamala? Was it because the Democrats have played too much identity politics?
So, Billy, I don't know who they are. Okay, there's no
they is Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and all the rank and file kind of fell in behind us.
Let's back up a second. Okay, by the time in Pelosi and Schumer both went to Biden, sometimes before that, and basically said you got to drop out. By the time that he actually dropped out, you were. It was reasonable for people to say, look, we just don't have time. She's the vice president. Joe Biden has endorsed her. And there was no appetite on July the 21st to take it any further. People are like, well, Biden's out now, we got a chance. And there was a kind of somewhat of a euphoria in the party after that. But again, no one was more for opening the process than I was. I wanted to open it the year before.
Away. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But by the time he did, there just wasn't an appetite for it.
How mad were you when I mean, you're watching everybody say that he's fine, and Joe Biden behind closed doors, he's cognitively, he's brilliant in meetings, and sometimes he stumbles in public. Don't you know that's a load of shit? You knew it, right?
I had people. I mean, I knew people that saw it. But I'm 80 myself. Okay, you can't beat this shit. It's undefeated.
But everyone's 80 is a little different. Like Trump's 80 is. I know you don't like him, but he
was.
He's got a lot of energy.
It was obvious he's lost. It's the solo. It's obviously he's lost 3 or 4 steps. I was for it. I don't know what you're asking me. I said he should. I was saying it back in early 2023.
Yeah, you're sharp as a tack at 80, but you got to get the future together here.
Schedule like I used to.
Your buddy Bill Maher is peddling John Fetterman as the future of the party, someone like that who's like an everyman, the whole thing. I think he's like the Adam Sandler of politicians. Come on, man. Take that sweatshirt off.
Look, we have so much talent. It's just breathtaking, the talent we have.
Who do you like?
I like 7 different people, okay? I want them to go out and do debates and do town halls, because when people think Democrats, they think we're old and we're urban. And the truth of the matter is, the party is just busting with talent. And by the way, at the congressional level, at the Senate level, at the gubernatorial level, everywhere. I mean,
who's your favorite governor? Shapiro? You like Shapiro?
If I say one, I don't say another. I could tell you that Pritzker, Whitmer, Beshear, Shapiro, Westmore, I could go on, are like world-class talent. I mean, world-class. But no one sees them. All right, they're, but they're going to be on the playing field. But at least I suspect most of them are going to be on the playing field. In look in the Senate, Ruben Gallego, Chris Murphy, Raphael Warnock. I mean, these are not, these are any of these people I name have the potential to be a Clinton or an Obama. That's how good they are. I'm not saying that you look at somebody in AAA and say, hey, they're going to be, uh, Otani or something like that. But what I'm saying is these are people that have really, really deep and profound political skills, and let's let them go out there and strut. That's not up to, let them strut. Let them people see them. They'll blow you away.
James Carville on Hot Mics with us right now. James, you know what I think people's frustration is, and certainly it's mine. Where's the principle over power? It seems to me whatever party it is, no one does anything for principle anymore. I always thought term limits for everybody in Congress, Senate, everywhere would be a good idea because they just hang on to power so long that literally right now I'm seeing John Thune, who's the Senate Majority Leader, fairly moderate guy. Same with Mike Johnson. They're not doing anything or saying anything because they don't want to be outside the den when it comes to power. And it happens on the other side too. You just let stuff go. Or you have your conversations whispering in the hallway, but publicly, you're not standing up for what is right over what holds on to power.
Well, so what they would say, in defense, is, look, this is what my voters want. I'm representing the voters of South Dakota. The voters of South Dakota want me to do whatever Trump tells me to do. Mike Johnson says, look, I got to do what my caucus wants. I got a 2-vote majority. I don't think much of Mike Johnson, to say the least, but I would give you what he would say, or what Thune would say, or what someone else would say. And everybody says, so you have to be loyal. What are you loyal to? You're loyal to your conscience? Are you loyal to your voters, to your supporters? The number one principle in politics is winning the goddamn election.
At all costs.
You do everything after that. Okay? You do whatever you have to do to win the election. And then you can have all of the principle you want.
Got
it. And that's one thing that Democrats, there are a lot of Democrats who they don't think this anymore. If we lose on principle, we'll feel good about ourselves. No, you won't. You'll feel like shit if you lose. That's why the movie is called Winning is Everything, stupid. Could be this.
How often do you talk to your old friend Bill Clinton?
Periodically. I mean, he'll call me every now and then if he's off talking to him.
You ever, when you look back at your time with Clinton, did you ever think, well, honestly, recently, Monica Lewinsky's out there. She's doing podcasts. She's launched her own. She said he should have resigned. He should have resigned then for perjury. Do you think he should have? Did you ever tell him to?
Oh, no. I mean, look, anybody could have. This shit was, what, 27 years ago? I mean, what is it about Clinton that people didn't like? The peace or the prosperity? There's something that really pissed people off. Because it was one of the two. You were making money and you wasn't getting your ass shot off. I mean, the 90s were probably the most golden time in modern American history.
But do you believe the president of the United States, and now we have Trump, the president has it's incumbent upon him to set a moral tone or to set any other tone than peace, prosperity, and business?
Billy, I went through this whole thing in the 90s. The public said, don't resign. We support you. If you want to supplant, he left office with a 71% approval. All right. This is a conversation that's just not going to go very well. I mean, it's not like people didn't know, and people said, okay, he did it. He was a great president, but they didn't want him to resign.
Is he the best political operator you've ever seen?
Yes. Might be the best president I've ever seen.
By far the best negotiator, the best. I mean, he was. The heartbreaking thing is I see what's going on in the Middle East now, and he and my other client, the Prime Minister of Israel at the current time, Ehud Barak, they gave him a deal that you couldn't even believe it was so good. And had they done that, whenever there is peace, if there's ever peace, it's going to be just what they outlined. All right. It's tragic to see that because it was
opportunity that the Palestinians had to have everything they wanted, the capital in Jerusalem, recognition, the militarized zone, all the land, would give all land back. And I've talked to some like really friends, people I met, like Palestinians, said, when you read it, James, it just makes you want to cry. And Arafat said, well, if I sign that, I'll be dead. Well, you're dead anyway. So, Sadat signed the Egypt agreement and he's dead, but then nobody getting shot on the Israeli Egypt border, are they?
No.
I mean, which, yeah.
James, I got a couple quick questions for you. Tim Walz said today he might run for president in 2028. Would you tell him not? Tim Walz.
All right.
You interested in Tim going further, or you think it's done?
I mean, who am I to tell the governor of Minnesota that be done? If he wants to run, great. But I'm going to tell you what, when you get out there, it's a slippery slope because there's going to be some really wicked pitchers that are going to come by you because there's going to be some real talent in that race. Whew.
Should be this time. What about Kamala for California governor? Some think she's going to run, and maybe Rick Caruso, big developer around here.
I guess I don't live in California, but it'd be it's going to be a competitive race. I can tell you that. I don't think California is in a mood to have any kind of coronation. But look, she, with the exception of, well, she never really developed a message. And, that terrible appearance on, I guess they call it The View.
Yeah.
She was a competent presidential candidate.
The View. You ever been on there with those ladies? I'm sure they.
Yeah, I've been. It's been a while, but yes, it's you know what? People, I like it. I think it's got a lot of energy. I mean, they're chatty, but it's. I was been on there a couple of times. It's been around a book or something like that, but people watch it and pay attention to it.
Yeah, they've had their following for a while. Well, I think. The final one is Andrew Cuomo. He's back in the race, baby. He's going to run for mayor of New York. You think that's a good one? A good choice? He's tough.
I believe in redemption.
If Marion Barry can get redeemed and run for mayor of Washington, D.C. after cracking hookers.
My daughter went to college in upstate New York.
Mm-hmm.
And that town, Geneva, New York, in 4 years, the amount that Andrew put into these, mid-sized towns in upstate New York was really something to see. And, they forced him out of Zion. People in New York they got to make up their mind. I don't really, but anytime I love comebacks, I love redemption. That's just the nature of me. So I'm glad to see him out there. I will venture a guess and say Eric Adams is not going to be reelected.
No, probably not. I can relate to that, man. I love a comeback too. James Carville, you are the greatest, sir. Thank you so much.
Very energetic, lively interview, man.
I love that LSU hat right there. Great memories. The last time I was down there was a long time ago, but you remember when Britney Spears got married to this guy one crazy night in Vegas? He was an LSU kid. I went down there. It was right after LSU won the national championship. I had to get the interview with this kid, so I bought bacon, egg, and cheese down the street in Kentwood, Louisiana, and I ran to this guy's front door, and he was hungover as can be. I fed him up there. And he had his LSU hat on. You look a little bit like him, except for...
Yeah, Kentwood is about a mile from the Mississippi border.
Yeah, that's some real country down there.
Tangipahoa Hole Parish. You know who else from Tangipahoa Hole Parish? Kim Mulkey.
Are you following Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni? Do you know anything about those two people?
I've heard of them, but I don't know a lot about them.
Oh, it's a dogfight out there. We're turning our attention to it coming up here. But I want to thank you so much. You're an icon, and always just really appreciate your time.
Good talking to you, man. Take care.
Enjoy that Saint-Julien Bordeaux.
All right.
My man, the great James Carville right there. He's a true icon. Coming up, we're going to break down the Oscars, and then we're going to get into Blake and Baldoni. There's so much. This thing doesn't stop. So much audio coming back from everyone's got stuff that comes back. We got a guy who is all over it. No filter with Zach. Do you follow him on the Baldoni stuff? He's coming up right after this. It's it's Hot Mics with Billy Bush, brought to you by LA Golf.
Welcome to LA Golf. You guys ready for the tour? We're the only golf company that manufactures its clubs here in the United States. All LA Golf drivers are built right here.
I'm very excited for today's production. It's going to be
4 left. Anybody hungry? So does he work here?
Work here? He lives here.
Hot Mics with Billy Bush, streaming on TuneIn, your one-stop shop for sports, politics, entertainment, tech, pop culture, hosted by yours truly. Unabashed, unafraid, on any device, anytime. On the go, catch the show on the TuneIn app. At home and want to listen on your connected device? Just say, play Hot Mics on TuneIn. Listen on demand with the Hot Mics with Billy Bush podcast, available whenever you want. Hot Mics with Billy Bush is brought to you by LA Golf. Upgrade your game and take your experience to the next level at lagolf.com. And welcome back to Hot Mics with Billy Bush, brought to you by LA Golf. Did you see me right there? If you're watching, driving the forklift right there, James Carville, whom we just talked to, driving his laptop like a forklift on his lap. It's amazing, and to keep up with him as he kept moving it. We are live on TuneIn and YouTube. Oscars last night. Like her character from The Substance, Demi Moore gets passed over for the kind of young it girl, Mikey Madison, who, by the way, is awesome. That was a tough one. I did want to see Demi win. I just love that, being honored after all the work she's done. Would have been a nice little cap. Once Sean Baker won for director of Anora and screenplay, editing, he won his first 3. You could kind of feel the momentum for Mikey Madison, right? And for Best Picture, which they won both. What started at Cannes, the film festival, winning the Palme d'Or in May, rolled right through the New York Festival, Toronto Film Festival, Telluride, all the way to the Oscars. That doesn't usually happen, but that was impressive. Demi Moore, you'd think, what a bummer, not winning the Oscar. Love her. Look at her. Check it out. Here's a picture of her in her robe with what looks like a Furby in her lap. If that's a real dog, that's incredible. Eating French fries. The ultimate guilty pleasure for every hot girl. Slightly overdone French fries. Real crispy. It's true. No pizza. It gets all over the place. Did Chalamet get robbed? After winning Best Actor at the SAG Awards, he bravely said, I'm going to say it, I want to be remembered as one of the greats. And then he reeled off some very impressive names. Marlon Brando, Daniel Day-Lewis, Viola Davis. His publicist put that one in there, let's be honest. He could have mentioned Adrian Brody, not only a classy move, but Brody is now in the elite class of double Best Actor winners with only 10 other guys. Actually, Daniel Day-Lewis has three Best Actor Oscars, but Marlon, Jack Nicholson, Tom Hanks, Anthony Hopkins, Dustin Hoffman, Sean Penn, all those, Spencer Tracy. Chalamet definitely seeing every hot script in town right now. He's probably got multiple agents. It's all coming his way. But to be one of the greats of all time, you got to be a little more elusive, right? He's making out with a Kardashian sister in every available ballroom. The greats don't do that, okay? No, they don't. Daniel Day-Lewis, when he's not making a movie, is a cobbler. He makes wooden shoes in the hinterlands of Scotland. He disappears and does weird things. Sean Penn does weird things, and we occasionally see them. But Brody, the longest acceptance speech in Oscar history. He stopped the music. He sent the orchestra back to their seats, and he kept going. He won the Oscar 22 years ago for The Pianist. Be very careful with that word. Then the career kind of floundered a bit. He hit the skids. He quit acting for a hot minute. Saved by a woman who needed saving herself. Georgina Chapman, whose ex and the father of her kids is Harvey Weinstein. Ooh, stick a pen in that name for a second. I got something on him later. Conan O'Brien, high marks. I thought he was great. Very likable, looked lean, handsome. He promised in a musical number, he's crazy, promised in a musical number that he wasn't going to waste our time. He did. The Oscars always, now we're not going to blame you, Conan. It was about 3 hours and 45 minutes, as it always is. They can't help but indulge. We should have known. They said we're starting the show at 7 o'clock, which you think, oh, they're starting early. This means we get to go to bed early. No. We're going to always go till 11. This time we're going to do it for almost 4 hours. But the highlights, I mean, he had a very weird opening, literally, when he came out of Demi Moore's body. The Adam Sandler bit in the audience, dressed like, Senator John Fetterman with his sweatshirt and sweatshorts, typical Sandler. Very funny. They were great moments. Conan's already been invited back, which is great. How about this? The Vanity Fair party is the hottest ticket in town, and it's not just the nominees. It's kind of the who's hot on the hot list at this moment. So much nudity. They call it Vanity Bear. Kanye's ex, remember Bianca? She moved the goalposts so far at the Grammys. Now I think everybody's sort of able to go a little more nude. Put that back up. Let's look at that photo. It's Megan Thee Stallion with a lot of just a pasty over the boob. Very braless and see-through Olivia Wilde. I would think it'd be hard. Yeah, you might Yeah. I'll move on from that one. Julia Fox, we have to pixelate her. It's just too much, even on the internet. She's not really a big actress, but she is a provocateur. And that gets us to the end. If those are the nominees, the winner is Zoe Kravitz. That is her butt right there through the screen door. That is her butt. We've been calling her many different names. The internet is, let's put this out there. We'll hop in the chat right now, YouTube chat. How do you let's see, Zoe Kravitz, they're calling her. Showy Kravitz, okay? Because you can see almost her entire butt through the back screen. And here's my favorite, which I came up with. You ready? Shabuti. I like that one. So remember in Conan's routine, he did this Deadpool dance number. He said, now for no reason, here's Deadpool dancing. Deadpool comes out. Now you could have picked any character. Could have been Batman, could have been Super, could have been from any movie. But it's Deadpool. And I don't know. Did they just want people to talk about Deadpool again? It does make you think. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. And boy, have you seen this clip that's out now, from years ago, him talking about checking out a stranger in the lobby of a hotel breastfeeding.
I'd probably like to go back to this morning. In the hotel lobby, a nursing mother caught me staring. And I didn't know what the appropriate facial expression was for that. I kept on staring and staring and staring, and then I just kind of got locked into that.
That's really unfortunate. It's just unfortunate to be out there when your wife is accusing a guy of watching her breastfeed. Now, but his own texts, of course, reveal that that's not the case. He said, hey, you're breastfeeding. She said, no, don't worry about it. Come in. She breastfed all the time. It was just an act. She didn't care about it. There's no discretion. She did it all the time. And he documented it in the text, her saying, come in. But still, even if you want a jury to believe eventually that, Justin Baldoni and his creepy producing partner were hanging out gawking at you while you're breastfeeding, it is unfortunate that your husband is saying that he stared. Now, look, I don't think Ryan Reynolds is a creep. I don't think anyone's a creep on that. If someone's sitting in a public space and they're breastfeeding, your eyes naturally go to that. And it's not because, maybe you're a creep and a freak and maybe that's a thing, but mostly it's like, that's just a very intimate, if people were, hooking up on a couch, you watch them. This is an intimate thing, but it's also the gift of life. It's one of the beauties of life. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think Ryan Reynolds shouldn't be, shamed for it either. But here's what is taking shape. That Blake and Ryan, they kind of love-bombed people a lot, right? Think about this girl, Isabel Ferrer. This is the woman who played the young Lily in It Ends With Us, the young actress. First of all, Blake told her, you know who saw your tape? You know who thought you were perfect for the part? But my friend Taylor Swift. Taylor thought, you tell that to a 25-year-old girl, Taylor Swift personally put her stamp of approval and selected you as a character? Oh my God. That's amazing. And then listen to this. This is from the It Ends With Us premiere in London last summer.
I love her. She's the best. She's given me so much advice. She has been so generous to me. She has given me clothes. She's fed me. She's let me sleep over. I mean, she's just been like a big sister that I never had. I'm an only child, so I'm like, this is so nice. I'm
listening to Candace Owens' podcast the other day. She's so funny on this stuff. She goes, what kind of 37-year-old woman is having a 25-year-old over, letting me, giving me clothes and giving me sleepovers? That's just a little weird. You've got kids and the whole thing and the sleepovers. But it's part of the courtship right there, right? And then you put this woman in a position later of like, hey, are you with me on this? On this creepiness that was on the set, I'm gonna file this suit against Baldoni. All these people, of course, the cast en masse unfollows Baldoni together. This woman and this guy, Brandon Sklenar, who, right after the movie comes out, the press starts rolling out, and it's not good for Blake. Right after the movie comes out, her press is kind of bad. She was launching a soda line and a hair care line during the process as if it were a romantic comedy and not a movie about domestic violence. There's some old clips of her being snarky with journalists, as you've seen, and they come out. And this guy, Sklenar, joins the rest of the cast, unfollowing Baldoni, and he sends a link to Blake's, civil rights complaint when she made all these accusations about Baldoni, and he said, oh my God, you got to see this, and he puts it out. Now, of course, he's dead silent. But remember, on the love bombing front, ahead of the legal battle, Blake campaigned for Brandon Sklenar to get the role of Batman, tagging DC Studios Chief Executive Officer James Gunn. She put it out there. James Gunn knows how to give the people what they need, and this they need, referring to Brandon Sklenar playing Batman in The Brave and the Bold upcoming movie. So what are you going to do? Have her back? This is the move, Reynolds has got some stroke. Blake has some stroke together. Here's Brandon Sklenar, by the way, last night at the Vanity Fair party. Buddy, stay in. Don't go out to these events. Of course, they're going to ask you what's on everybody's mind and not just your piping hot career.
Yeah.
And finally, I know you're very supportive over your female co-stars as well. Blake Lively, how are you hoping to support her during this time?
I mean, I just...
Oh, look at him. See that? Look at this.
Oh, it's a tough situation.
Oh,
and
it's tough.
I just hope everyone remembers what the movie's about and why we made it in the first place. And
we made it.
It's about love, and it's about
love and
supporting women in general.
Yeah,
and,
supporting women.
And helping people through tough times. Yeah. And that movie's helped so many people. And I just want people to remember.
Listen, you can get rid of that. But, the guy, why are you going out? Poor guy, you put your chips in the corner on Blake in this, and then you realized, oh God, how have I done that? Now the best thing to do, even though you have these projects coming out, is just go into the event and don't say anything. If you stop to see a reporter, you can guarantee that's what's on their mind. Just that. All right, so Blake and Ryan now bring in, on their crisis PR front, an ex-CIA deputy chief of staff, a former guy that was, back in the Obama administration, Nick Shapiro. Question is he running an Instagram sort of cleansing operation here? There's so many negative comments that have disappeared on Ryan Reynolds' Instagram. There's the first thing you see on his Instagram is a pinned photo that has 16,000 comments on it, and there are 15,500 of them are negative. You can't take that down. It's too obvious. But now there's all kinds of other ones that are down, and there are new posts of neutral and sort of positive commentary. I'm bringing in one of the great Baldoni sleuths in a second here, a podcaster by the name of No Filter with Zach Peter. Zach is following this stuff like you wouldn't believe, just like me. He can't get enough. Zach, there you are. What do you think is going on with Ryan Reynolds' Instagram account?
Well, I looked at it. I was looking at it, and I was trying to say, when did these comments start to actually, or start getting filtered? Because you have some posts that have thousands of comments, right? And then suddenly his most recent posts have 7 comments. And I'm like, when did this happen? And it seemed to have happened like mid-December, right before the lawsuit dropped. So it looks like what he did, Instagram gives you an option to filter your comments.
Yeah.
So usually if you're like a celebrity in a scandal, your publicist or your social media manager will say, listen, you're getting some negative comments. Let's filter out some keywords. So I'm pretty sure nobody's allowed to comment using Justin Baldoni or maybe even Blake Lively. I'm sure there are keywords that are being censored in the comments. And then it looks like the comments have been limited to certain accounts. Now, either there are certain accounts that are approved to leave comments, or you can just make it to people that follow you within a specific time frame. So like if anybody followed him after December, they likely wouldn't be able to leave a comment to prevent any trolls from coming in. Because I even tried to follow him recently and see if I would then be allowed to comment. So it seems like the comments are heavily locked down through the Instagram filters.
What do you think if you were advising this guy, this new chief of staff guy? I mean, I said it on the last episode for me was you just fall on the sword. I believe people are quite forgiving. The further you dig in on a lie or on something that people don't, like or agree with, the harder it is to get him back. And she's at this place, it seems like the point of no return. But if she said, I'm so sorry, I lost my mind. I acted like a mean girl. Darn it. I hate myself. I'm never doing it again. Please forgive me. I would.
No, and that's really the advice that I've kind of been giving her. I know she's probably not paying attention to me very much, but like, that's what I've been saying is that she should do is just be like, listen, I was hormonal. I just had a baby. So naturally I'm going to be insecure about my body, right? I just had a baby and maybe it's my 4th, child that like, I just don't feel secure doing, some of these intimate scenes, which Baldoni revealed in his lawsuit against Blake and Ryan was that like, yeah, she asked us to move back or was requesting that we push production back for some of the more intimate scenes because she wasn't feeling confident. We tried to be respectful of that. So, hormones, she can say postpartum depression. Like there are a number of things that she can argue
People are
to
mad,
say
though,
that
now.
her headspace wasn't the best.
People are really mad right now. What are you noticing right now? What is percolating for you with these two?
I mean, people don't seem to like them at all. And I mean, as you were talking about Brandon Sklenar, even him, like he can't say anything. And I, on my podcast this morning was like maybe we give the guy, a sliver of, grace here. Like he picked the wrong side initially, but, people very much don't want anything to do with anybody that has defended Blake and Ryan. I think what it is people see how serious this, type of harassment is and how prevalent it is in Hollywood, and to have somebody clearly make a mockery of it the way that it appears to me. I mean, we're even seeing Hollywood turn on them. Conan O'Brien's joking about it. SNL's now starting to throw jabs at them. So it doesn't seem like they have much support anywhere right now, aside from their, new CIA dude.
Well, then, but Ari Emanuel, who is the CEO of William Morris Endeavor, a huge agency, he did this podcast, the Freakonomics podcast. I guess it was supposed to be a private event, not actually for publication, which is a weird thing to do with a podcast. But nonetheless, the audio of it leaks out, and he says, I'm a ride or die. I'm a ride or die with these guys, which definitely shows you that Blake and Ryan were part, when they said they weren't, of Baldoni getting fired, because a choice had to be made. And Ari chose them and fired Baldoni, and he's definitely cost him some work.
Yeah, I mean, the key words that he used were, we fired him and I'm ride or die for Blake and Ryan, which to me really sets up Baldoni to prove damages in his case. But not only that, so the interesting thing about that podcast, Billy, is it was supposed to be released. And then the host came out and said, actually, we had this, very rare technical glitch that had that we didn't have any of the audio and any of the video recorded. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to release the episode because we just had so many tech glitches that happened that night with the PA system. And then he's like, we've done this podcast for years, but yet we've never had an issue like this before. So it was another one of those rare coincidences.
Do you think it'll get quiet at least in the 1 year we have until this alleged trial, which there's no way this thing goes to trial, but what do you think happens next?
I mean, I feel like every step she takes is a bit of a misstep, and, there's just so much heat on her. I don't see her going through this for a whole year. I mean, we even saw that she didn't win her case trying to get the phone records. The judge very much tried to limit her scope there. So I don't foresee this going to trial. probably predict this dying down by summer, and maybe we get a settlement, because I don't understand how they can endure an entire year of just going back and forth on this. Either the judge moves up the trial, which he's already threatened to do with some of the tactics that we've seen both parties play out in the media, or it gets settled soon.
Yeah, that's a big one you mentioned there, that she wanted 2.5 years of Justin Baldoni's phone records, every bit. Going back to December of 2022, she wants every call he made to any person, anywhere. I would say, okay, then if we're doing that, I want yours. Every single person, every time you spoke to, we get to see all your communications with Taylor Swift. Yeah. That would be a lot of fun. But of course, the judge did shoot that down. I think it was a long shot to begin with. What do you think about Taylor Swift and all of this? Do you think I know their friendship is clearly, screwed at this point, but does she get deposed? Do we end up, hearing from her?
I mean, you're very familiar with Brian Friedman, and I think you and I both know he's going to fight to get that deposition out of Taylor Swift. He's going to try to get her on record and catch her in something. I mean, and listen, what we've said, the New York Times just submitted their case to the judge to get Baldoni's lawsuit against them dismissed, and they're, in my opinion, kind of throwing Blake under the bus by basically saying, like, listen, we're press, we got a story, we ran with the story, we trusted our source. And so I think, as we're seeing with everybody in Hollywood, as we're seeing with Taylor Swift, nobody wants anything in any thread of connection to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds right now.
Oh, man, he was so popular, this guy. Everything he touched was just perfect. Mint Mobile, now apparently he's no longer the face of Mint Mobile, which he merged with T-Mobile, made some $300 million on the mobile deal, the $100 million or whatever it was on Aviation Gin. We're not going to worry about him, even if somehow it goes terribly for him and he gets blackballed. They are stupidly rich, these people, beyond belief.
I think he'll be fine. I don't think the Marvel fans care, and they're still going to show up and watch the next Deadpool. I don't think they care about this Blake Lively drama as much as maybe the rest of us do, because at the end of the day, they're going to Comic-Con. They want to go and get their comics, signed by Ryan Reynolds if they see him leaving the Paley Theater. Like, they don't really care about any of this drama. So I think the audience will probably still rally around him if Disney and Marvel choose to stick by him.
Okay, No Filter. Zach Peter, thank you so much. The No Filter podcast with Zach Peter, and on Instagram, he's got a rabid following, and I love getting to know you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Billy.
Appreciate you. Hot Mics, Hot Takes, full breakdown of episode 3 of White Lotus last night. What is going on? Is Rick out for revenge? Is Kate? Kate's a Republican. Oh no, her friends are so mad at her. Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by LA Golf. Back in 60 seconds.
Welcome to LA Golf. You guys ready for the tour? We're the only golf company that manufactures its clubs here in the United States. All LA Golf drivers are built right here.
I'm very excited for today's production. It's going to be
4 left. Anybody hungry? So does he work here?
Work here? He lives here.
Hot Mics with Billy Bush, streaming on TuneIn, your one-stop shop for sports, politics, entertainment, tech, pop culture, hosted by yours truly. Unabashed, unafraid, on any device, anytime. On the go, catch the show on the TuneIn app. At home and want to listen on your connected device? Just say, play Hot Mics on TuneIn. Listen on demand with the Hot Mics with Billy Bush podcast, available whenever you want. Hot Mics with Billy Bush is brought to you by LA Golf. Upgrade your game and take your experience to the next level at lagolf.com. All right, welcome back to Hot Mics, presented by LA Golf. We're live on TuneIn. Time for today's Hot Mics Hot Takes. Our producer, Rob, in the house. Very beautiful guy. Very beautiful, very handsome. Let's talk about the Lotus. It's
Bill, episode 3.
More of a setup episode, right?
Felt that way. My wife's getting frustrated.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, I'm not frustrated because I like what they're setting up. Walton Goggins is one of my favorite actors. I go back to Justified with him. I love this guy. And of course, I love him as Baby Billy on The Righteous Gemstones.
What about with Chickless?
And with Chickless on The Shield. Okay, the guy's great. He's very dark. He let snakes out of a cage when they went to a snake show.
Almost killed his girlfriend.
Almost killed his
By the way,
girlfriend.
these are spoiler alerts for people at home.
Oh, don't worry
There are
about it.
spoiler
Get on
alerts
it.
here.
If you're not watching The Lotus, okay, I should have said that. Spoiler alert, whatever. But he's obviously very dark. He's making a trip to Bangkok where I think he's going to try and commit murder.
Well, the backstory might be, and this is us just, he's the woman who runs the resort's husband is in Bangkok.
Yes.
We believe that he feels that that gentleman had something to do with the death of his dad.
Of his father.
That's
this guy
correct.
might have killed my father. I need to go avenge the life of my father.
Yes.
Now, the man he's going to visit is played by Scott Glenn.
That's correct. And
Had I played my cards differently in life, Scott Glenn could have been my father-in-law.
That's right, Bill.
I dated Scott Glenn's daughter in college.
By
By the way, everybody teased me because she was so far out of my league. They were like, "What are you doing with
I
him?
kicked your coverage
What are
on
you
that?
doing with that
Right.
guy? He's not a he's." I was 2 years younger too. I don't know how I pulled it
Bill,
off.
there was the Are You a Republican situation last night between the three women. The woman who lives down, Leslie Bibb, Kate, who lives down in Austin. Her husband
Is a Trumper. He's
is a Trumper, and she kind of leans in that direction too. They couldn't believe it.
Well, it's one of the first scripted shows to talk about Trump and use his name, Trump, and have these conversations. Remember, Donald Trump in our regular lives lives rent-free in our brains. We talk about him all the time. He designed it that way. But these women are talking about, Mike White did a great job of capturing these conversations where families, friendships, and things like that are actually torn apart by who supports whom. And Leslie Bibb, and Michelle Monaghan now, her character, and the other woman are ganging up on her, and it's happening probably everywhere.
They're talking about her behind her back, and she's hearing it all.
All right, well, let's see. This is a little taste right here of the women coming apart.
Are you a Republican? No. Okay. I'm an independent. But Dave is an independent. Since when? You didn't vote for Trump, though, did you?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So many. Think of all the people who voted for Trump and didn't.
Do you remember the Curb Your Enthusiasm episode with the MAGA hat?
Oh yeah.
That was a big one.
What do you think, by the way, on that front? What do you think the relationship is these days between Larry David and his wife from the show, Cheryl Hines, who's married to RFK Jr.? I bet you Larry doesn't talk to her. I bet he's just deleted.
She's out?
contact.
The show's over.
I do not know, but I would say that I don't think Larry can separate. I think Larry is just, he's too, he doesn't have the ability to
You've
separate.
spent some time with Larry. So
I have
you know
spent some time with Larry, and I have not asked him this.
Right.
But the next time I do, I will.
All right, a quick one, Bill. Belinda from season 1. You remember Belinda? She confronted Greg last night, who now goes by the name of Gary. She's sure it's Greg and not Gary.
Yeah, from season 1, this is Belinda who ran the spa, and she's now in season 3, at the new White Lotus, where she's doing some spa training to bring back some moves to her White Lotus hotel. It's basically like the Four Seasons or whatever it is, and go back to her hotel with these moves. But she sees Jennifer Coolidge's creepy husband, and he's no longer Greg, and now he's at the new hotel with a much younger woman, and he's Gary.
And she's a hooker.
And she's a hooker. This is the wildest show. I did think that there was, and by the way, Gary's hooker. Well, who's making eyes with her and who's going to get with her? But Patrick Schwarzenegger. Patrick Schwarzenegger, who's the horniest guy on the planet in this show.
Well, she called him a what? A douche.
A douche. I don't like that word.
Terrible word.
You know what? I put it up there with tush. I don't like the word tush for someone's butt.
I have a bunch of words I hate, as you know.
Yeah.
I can't handle any of them. One more. Tim the dad. He's in big trouble.
Jason
with authorities
Isaac's
back
character.
home. Now he's a pill popper like his wife.
Parker Posey, his pill-popping wife, he cannot stop. Well, he needs to take her pills. This guy's coming apart at the seams. The FBI has showed up at his office, and he did something bad. He did a bad business deal. He did some laundering. He's
a total crook, Bill.
But I like watching someone come apart at the scenes. Now, one thing we haven't seen on the nudity front, There was no nudity in episode 3. This is Mike White taking a break, but believe me, he's coming back strong. We see Patrick Schwarzenegger in the first episode.
Yeah.
We see the young Walton Goggins young girl. We see her boobs, and she's administering some sort of treatment to them that you don't want to see an older man doing with a younger woman. I don't want to see it, but we did. Nothing in episode 3.
I got a feeling we're going to see the hooker.
When you look at what we've seen in the first 2 seasons, how jarring the scenes we have seen, you know something's coming. They're not taking it down a notch. He has to go up a notch. So something horrible is on its way.
Well, Bill, that's our recap.
That's it. I love the White Lotus so much. Next week, we have Patrick Schwarzenegger.
That's huge.
That's going to be fun.
That is huge. He needs to show up, be here, and be great.
I'm going to say that is huge. Is it real? That's going to be a question for me. Or was it a prosthetic? Thank you.
Billy, I'm sorry. We got something here.
We have something?
Yes. We got from a comment. Billy, you promised Movie Mance, you might remember this, Billy, that you'd do your Oscar recap topless if Demi Moore didn't win. Why the shirt, says the comments.
Oh, I did say that. I did. That's just terrible.
I'm not sure about this.
I know, it's an awful idea, but...
Yes, okay.
All right. I thought Conan O'Brien was great. I thought Demi got robbed, and thanks for watching Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by LA Golf. Don't say I don't deliver on things.
Oh, my God.
Take your swing to the next level with LA Golf. We'll see you next time. Get this off now. Get it off. Get it out of here. Goodbye.